place a police team, we'll go arrest people, and then they go to the police station, they find their own means, and they are back on the street. That would be a waste of time and resources for me. So I have my own democratic military style, which I'll be implementing. When we say leave this space, and you don't leave this space, and I get there, I am not lucky, and my boys are with me, there and then, we'll beat you. There, in the middle of a doom. If you're not lucky, if I'm alone, you'll be lucky. But if I'm there, and my 10 boys are in their pickup with me, with their hips, trust me, there's something we're going to do. And that is where I need your support. As for me, if you're a cattle owner, and you have cattle, and your cattle stray, and they are coming into the domain of KMA, be rest assured that from the 1st of May, those cattle will be killed and be given to the Kumasi Central Prison for feeding. Especially the areas from the airport leading up to Menchia. I cannot sit here and let visitors get to this beautiful airport. And when they're driving to Menchia, all that they encounter is feces from cattle. This is unacceptable. If you're a cattle owner, and you have cattle, and your cattle stray, and they are coming into the domain of KMA, be rest assured that from the 1st of May, those cattle will be killed and be given to the Kumasi Central Prison for feeding.
Okay, so you're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. Joining us this morning is Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. He's the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, and also Kamaluddin Abdullahi. He is the immediate past Consul General to Saudi Arabia. Sorry about that. Now, let's look at another development that the Foreign Affairs Minister broke on his X page yesterday, and it got all of us in a state of shock. So the Daily Post today has reported it. The story is here on page 7. And it's about some development in Nigeria, both Nigeria and Ghana. So it says suspect arrested in illegal sale of Ghana High Commission property in Nigeria for $1.5 million. Now, it says the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, has announced the arrest of Bright Mensah Bonsu, a man accused of illegally selling a property of the Ghana High Commission in Nigeria. According to Ablakwa, Mensah Bonsu, who was a special aide to former Ghana High Commissioner to Nigeria, the late Alhaji Rashid Bawa, received $1.5 million and a signed fake document in a transaction. He said that the $1.5 million was paid into the accounts of Mensah Bonsu and the transaction was not documented by the mission. Okay. It is important to emphasize that the $1.5 million cash was not paid into the government accounts. Neither is there any record at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that the cash was officially declared. Documents reveal that Bright Mensah Bonsu and his collaborators had valued the prime Lagos, it's a Lagos beachfront diplomatic property at $5.3 million and considered the $1.5 million payment as the first installment. The outcome of the 2024 election must have thwarted their plans, the minister wrote in a post shared on X on Tuesday, April 15, 2025. Ablakwa, who is also the Member of Parliament for North Tong, also disclosed that the accused person is also a suspect on the issuance of the diplomatic passport. But Mensah Bonsu was not a staff member of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the Ghana High Commission in Nigeria, even though he was often seen in the company of the High Commissioner. As we await criminal prosecution shortly, it would be interesting to see how Mr. Mensah Bonsu backs his claim that he acted on the instructions of the superiors and that those superiors gave him access to documents on the diplomatic property. But, so the person who was buying the property, he, the person or she, could not tell that the documents that were being given to him or her were fake documents? Angwezi? Well, let me start with Angwezi.
There's no indication that the documents were fake.
Right.
What we do know is that this individual claimed to be representing the Ghana High Commission and offered this property, which had been valued at $5.3 million for sale, and that he allegedly
Allegedly, yes.
collected $1.5 million of the money and kept it in his private accounts. Now, there are some intriguing aspects of this story. And one is that this guy was carrying a diplomatic passport. How did he come by the diplomatic passport if he's not an official? Because diplomatic passports are not just issued to every and anybody. So who authorized the issuance of a diplomatic passport to him? I think that the investigators may look at that. And I think it's too early yet for me to make extensive comments on this matter. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Sami Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has already indicated that the investigative authorities...
So that's the chap in your shot?
Yes. The investigative authorities are looking into the matter.
To the matter.
I don't think that there's a rush. There's a need to rush to make comments and so on. Let's wait for the outcome of the investigation.
Okay.
But this is a very, very strange case. Extremely strange case.
I see.
Well, I think, like Anguzi put it, the whole case for now appears nebulous a bit.
Yeah.
Even though, because if what you read is what we should go by.
So for now, we're going by Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa's account of what happened.
If what you read is what we're supposed to go by, it raises series of questions. First of all, the said property was a sale sanctioned or ordered by the ministry, because all missions are under the ministry. We first need to establish that. And if it was, the officers who were detailed to go and assist or collaborate with the mission in Nigeria for the sale to be done, who are they and what was the process? Because he talked about valuation being done. Who valued it? Who sanctioned the valuation? So we need first to establish. I think Okudzeto should be able to give us details. In any case, he shouldn't be speaking to this matter anyway. I'm surprised the minister is rushing to speak to this matter yet. I would have expected that if there's some element of criminality that has come up, security agencies that picked up the gentleman, who will be charging the gentleman and all those things, maybe if the need be, okay, the PRO of such entities should be speaking. Or my good brother, diplomatically, I say he shouldn't be speaking because he is representing Ghana and the president diplomatically. And some of these, if wrongs are established, obviously, the buyer we don't even know who is, whether it's a Nigerian, whether it's an institution in Nigeria, whether it's what, they bring diplomatic connotations there. So if you are not careful, and then you, who is supposed to be at the helm of affairs, start speaking before even the investigations are carried out and come out, you may wrongfully injure our diplomatic relationships at a point, depending on who is involved. So I would have thought that my brother Okudzeto should not be the one.
We have no idea who is involved.
Absolutely, we have no idea. That's why I said it raises a lot of questions. It's nebulous.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, I don't really. Yes, we may decide to rent our properties out there as a mission. We may decide to sell our property out there as a mission. Ghana holds a lot of properties. In Saudi Arabia, we have land in Riyadh, okay, that was given to us, or that was procured. Under Sinari, we attempted to, Ambassador Sinari, to develop it. Ambassador Habib Tijani came, a whole lot of issues. We've not done that yet. It doesn't mean go and sell something. In Saudi Arabia, in fact, we are among missions that own their own property. Some time back in 1989, under Rawlings, we procured a building in Saudi Arabia. Right. 2 buildings, in fact. That's which houses the consulate in Jeddah. So we have properties out there. All I want to say is that, look, when issues happen beyond our jurisdiction and connote some diplomatic tendencies, we should be careful not to rush to the media with some of these things until, okay, the entire investigation is conducted and established, okay, what it is that you think we should consume, then we bring it out. But for now, I would limit myself to whether or not the ministry actually sanctioned a sale like that, to whether or not the gentleman indeed worked with the commission, with the High Commission there, and to whether or not indeed the said sale, because the questions raised was that the money was not paid into our account. So were they expecting the money to be paid into the Ghanaian account? So it means that there was some, with all respect, knowledge. Because if you are saying that the money should have gone to our account, maybe you were expecting some money. I don't know all this. And
no,
all
not,
this
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
The question
the issue is this, that yes, we have a problem with the sale of this property. But let's even say granted, and I'm not holding brief for the Foreign Affairs Ministry. I get from the reading of the story that, let's even say granted, that the Foreign Affairs Ministry at the time, under Sheila Yoko had agreed that the property should be sold. He would expect, you know, that
due process
exactly that the monies would be put into a certain account, which can be accounted for in a transparent and open manner. I guess that's where he's coming from. Not necessarily to say that, you know, he was expecting or he knows about the sale of the property. But of course, as a ranking member of Foreign Affairs, perhaps he should have been privy to some information regarding this transaction. So yes, that will understand.
But I think if there is wrongdoing, look, nobody is above the law. For me, I think that look, no one is above the law in this country. And if we establish any wrongdoing, let it come up, okay, and let's deal with it. Whoever is supposed to be culpable, let the law deal with the person, as it were. But as we sit, I always go with the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Because sometimes when issues are half-baked, you can't speak to it to its logical conclusion. Let's see how it unfolds anyway. And again, my advice is that the minister shouldn't be rushing to the media with some of these things quickly. Because of the diplomatic status that he has. We may seek to say, let's let somebody look bad, some administration did what, but it's not the case.
But the issue
anyway,
about the diplomatic implications that this may have on this story, that's only dependent on whether the person who is involved in this transaction is a foreigner.
And you don't know that, and I don't know that.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. It would only kick in if, for instance, the person involved in
we don't even know the
allegedly, we don't know the bias. But I'm just saying that, you know, you keep bringing this issue about it may have diplomatic implications. But it's dependent on who the buyer is. If the buyer is a Nigerian, okay, if the buyer is a Nigerian, then I'm sure that your argument will kick in. But because we don't know the person,
we don't know. That's what I'm saying.
We may want to maybe pipe down on this issue about diplomatic implications, you know. So anyway,
but let me also try to make this clear. Ankosi raised the issue of whether or not somebody can hold a diplomatic passport.
Yes, if the person is not sanctioned by the Foreign Affairs Ministry.
I think when you look at it, it's largely discretionary. The issuance of diplomatic passport and service passport is largely discretionary. I know with respect to diplomatic passport, the president and the minister, the president of course delegates the minister to ensure such issuance, as well as even service passports. That is why a letter must come either from the mission, either from an institution. There are institutions, of course. We even have somebody working at the ministry having a diplomatic passport, depending on the work the person is going to do. So, like I said, it's largely discretionary in that regard. I'm not saying that the gentleman is fit to have it, but because it's discretionary and depending on reasons that is given per letters that have been written to and for activity to be done, maybe the person can be given such a passport, as it were.
All right. Kamal, have you heard of this party which is about to be birthed called the New Patriotic Front? Have you heard about it?
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Bits and pieces of it. I don't know if what you want me to speak to.
Okay. So you know Dr. Makuba?
Very well, very well.
He's supposed to be a founding member of your party.
Sure.
Okay. Now he's hinting the whole world that there's a new party which is about to be birthed, and is going to be an offshoot of the New Patriotic Party. It's called the New Patriotic Front. Now, even before we look at that, again, my understanding, of course, based on what the newspapers are reporting, that you have a crunch meeting today.
We have a meeting. What is this crunch?
Yeah.
The party has a meeting. It's normal to have leisure executive committee
holds crunch meeting
What's this
today.
Crunch meeting?
And apparently this is the first time you're going to look at the Okwe report. And of course, and also reforms high on the agenda. Now, what do you know about this meeting? why is this meeting important? And can you confirm if indeed the Okwe report is going to be on the agenda? And if the Okwe report is going to be on the agenda, why is the Okwe report important? And whether some of the fallouts from the 2024 elections, we've heard Adwoa Safo's, diatribe about what she feels about what the party or the government did to her, etc. And there's quite a number of other persons who have spoken. What is this meeting about? Even before we get to this,
first of all,
National Patriotic Front.
All political parties
Okay.
operate with the Constitution.
Yeah.
The Constitution of the New Patriotic Party allows for steering committee meetings, NEC meetings, National Council meetings, okay, as part of our day-to-day administration of the party. So having a meeting is no news in the first place. I mean, it's something that is enshrined in our Constitution. And as and when we deem it fit, either the national chairman deems it fit, instructs the general secretary to call members for a meeting. And what is important is that, yes, today we have been given notice that there will be NEC-CUM National Council meeting. Okay, that I know. And of course, what we normally do usually, you've asked me for agenda, whether or not we are going to discuss, okay, whatever. That I cannot tell you.
Okay.
Because when notices come, the notice doesn't spell the agenda of the meeting because it's a public entity and it's political meetings we are having. Okay. So we don't spell out, we're going to discuss XYZ. I don't know where you got your information about this. Makokwe committee is what we are going to discuss.
It's on today's Ghanaian public.
Yeah, people say that. Of course, these are speculations. Okay. But nonetheless, when we get into the meeting, what normally we do is that the general secretary will then outline the agenda of the meeting, okay, through the national chairman will instruct the general secretary to do that. Then, of course, we will adopt the agenda before we go ahead with discussions. So if sitting here, I cannot say that as a member of National Council of the party, this is what XYZ that we're going to discuss. When we get there, we shall discuss, adopt the agenda of the day and move on. But let me be quick to add this.
Okay.
I'm sure where the speculation is coming from has to do with when we came up with the committee, the Makokwe committee, the national chairman indicated they were given 3 months to do their work.
Okay.
And after 3 months, then they report to the National Council, okay, their findings for discussions and adoption. Maybe that is where that speculation is actually coming from.
Okay.
You understand? But as we sit, I cannot say emphatically that we are going to discuss Makokwe's report.
Okay.
Okay? Until we get into the meeting, agenda will be adopted, discussions will be made, and then we will go ahead with the meeting.
Because this is how the publisher actually reported it. Yeah. And this is how I put it. It says, the New Patriotic Party is convening an emergency meeting of the party's National Executive Committee, NEC, and the National Council to be held today, April 16, 2025. The meetings are expected to discuss critical issues affecting the party and a roadmap for the future leadership of the party. A statement signed by the party's General Secretary, Justin Kodia Frimpong, said the meetings will take place at the Rich Arena, Alisa Hotel in Accra. Now, the NEC meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m., followed by the National Council meeting at 2 p.m. Information gathered by this paper indicates that key issues on the agenda include the presentation of the report of the 2024 Election Review Committee, discussions on the upcoming National Annual Delegates Conference, proposed amendments to the NPP Constitution, as well as timelines for the party's constituency, regional, and national executive elections. Now, the meetings will also explore programs and strategies for the party's future direction, including preparations for 2026 and beyond. The emergency meetings come against a backdrop of seeming rising tensions within the party following its unprecedented defeat in the 2024 general elections. There have been growing calls for the senior members, party elders, and grassroots supporters for a deep introspection and restructuring to restore discipline and unity. Now, sources close to the leadership of the party indicate that the 2024 Election Review Committee report, one of the key items on the meeting's agenda, outlines various causes of the party's electoral defeat. Since the elections, accusations of anti-party conduct have surfaced, with some members allegedly working against the party's interest during the polls. The party's disciplinary structures have come under pressure to investigate and possibly sanction individuals believed to have undermined the NPP's campaign. Now, some party elders have subtly criticized the leadership handling of internal affairs and called for a return of the party's foundational values. Others have also spoken publicly about the erosion of discipline and ideological clarity within the party. Now, at the grassroots level, frustrations are mounting, Many polling station and constituency executives have expressed disappointment in the party leadership, citing neglect and broken promises. With the NEC and National Council meetings expected to set out timelines for upcoming internal elections and discuss proposed constitutional amendments, there is increasing pressure on the national leadership and the test of the party's ability to rebuild, reconcile its internal differences, and redefine its direction ahead of 2026 and beyond. Now, this is just one. I talked about the Daily Post story, which says Dr. Amarko Tufo says that the preparations are Amarko
Tufo, late Tufo.
Yes, yes. He's of Apino.
No, Amarko Tufo was not Apino.
Oh, he's not
Tufo
Apino.
Was I think the popular Tufo, Attorney General.
Okay.
He was the first. Apino? He was the head of school feeding. Apino was
Apiamenka. Sorry. That's true.
Yeah,
anyway, so yes. So leave NPP and join New Patriotic Front.
Yeah.
Dr. Makuba tells party members. Political scientist and member of the NPP, Dr. Makuba, has revealed plans for the formation of a new political party, the New Patriotic Front, which he says will serve as a true representation of the ideals of the NPP, the ideals the NPP once stood for. Speaking in an exclusive interview with TV3 on April 14, Dr. Ma explained that the creation of the New Patriotic Party Front has become necessary due to the perceived failure of the current NPP leadership. He accused the party leaders of corruption and incompetence, which he believes contributed to the party's defeat in the 2024 general elections. We want to fix the party, but those involved in the wrongdoing are the ones in charge. Do you think they will willingly give you a chance to throw them out? No, they won't. Leave the party for them and form a new one. The shortest way around this thing is to form a new party. 3news.com quoted Dr. Makuba to have said in an interview, he urged NPP members to abandon the current party and join the New Patriotic Front, which is officially launched. Okay, so apparently it's been launched. Again, if you look at today's Insight newspaper, it carries the same story that says NPP heavily pregnant, soon to birth new party, reveals Dr. Amakoba.
I like the heavily pregnant.
Yes, it's a heavily
headline.
pregnant. What do you know about this? About this soon to be birth or an already birth party called the New Patriotic Front, championed by the likes of Dr. Makuba and co.
Look, the results of the last elections necessarily dictates that the New Patriotic Party should do an introspection, should begin to ask questions about how it could lose so massively, And I'm not just talking about the final results, which were declared. I've actually looked at polling station results, and I've seen many polling stations where the MPP actually scored 0. And that's unprecedented.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly unprecedented. So this was a really massive defeat. A defeat that no party has seen, of the two parties. None of them has seen this kind of defeat since 1992. And that is why it becomes important for the party to go back to the drawing board, to examine itself, to ask relevant questions, and so on. So that's one. Two, it's also very, very clear that different forces in the party are beginning to position themselves, for the control of the heart of the party, and it's very clear. I mean, I listened to Sarah Adra Safo make the point that there are some people in the party who want to end the political career of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and that is people like Adra Safo and so on, will do everything possible to ensure that she's the flag bearer for the 2028 elections. This is from Sarah Adra Safo. Now, only yesterday, I read another party member who had actually told the media, yes, that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was the cause of the defeat and that he should not be fielded again. I've read another very profound statement from the former Minister of Energy, Boakye Agyarko, who argues that they lost so hugely because, there was a departure from the values of the party. And that if the party has to make any headway, It has to come back to its original values and so on. And I've spoken to several party people, and it seems to me that there are different directions emerging in the party. Completely different directions emerging in the party. There are some who actually feel that the party has been so damaged and destroyed that it can no longer be a viable vehicle. And those people include people like Dr. Amwaku Amwakuba,
yes,
who believe very strongly that, look, this vehicle is destroyed and that it can't go anywhere. So there's a need for the construction of a new political vehicle which will pursue the neoliberal path which the NPP has always pursued, and so there's this general confusion, in the party. Now, in a situation like this, you need exceptional leadership to reconstruct the center and to bring people together. That is what I don't see. Today, I don't see the rallying point. If you see it, you can tell us.
But Kwesi, isn't that rallying point possible only after the Okwe's report is digested fully?
Absolutely.
So that the way forward is.
The report would not provide a rallying point.
Okay.
In fact, what the report will do, if it's publicly made available, would be to deepen the cracks. To deepen the cracks. To extend the blame game. And so
because there will definitely be a portion of blames.
Of course. I mean, there'll be disagreements over how the party lost.
Yeah.
And don't you forget that Stephen Amwa, yes, actually spoke with the media a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he acted very vehemently against the suggestion that he was one of the people who caused the party to lose the elections in the Ashanti region. And if you remember, his warning was that, look, if that is not stopped, he will reveal something.
True. I remember.
You understand? You remember that very clearly. Now, you would also remember that when the NDC lost the 2016 elections,
yeah.
Was it 2016?
It was the 2016 elections, yes.
Okay. It set up a committee headed by Dr. Kwesi Botwe
yes.
to prepare a report. And you remember that the party decided not to make the report public.
Yeah, even though there were some, yeah.
I think it was guided by the fact that, it was guided by the fear that making the report public would lead to further acrimony and so on. So the report was never made public. I haven't seen the report. I know that there are a few people who claim that they have seen the report, but I didn't see the report. Okay. Do you understand? So this is the state of the party. Now, I think it's going to get worse, in the next few months, when people begin to see what actually went wrong. I mean, this morning we are talking about this diplomatic property which apparently or allegedly was sold in Lagos.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are many party people who will be asking themselves questions. I mean, how did this happen under our tenure? Who allowed this to happen? Because the party people, a lot of them, decent people in the party, who feel that these things tarnish their own personal image and the image of the party. There are many party people who would not want to be associated with this kind of thing. Some of them may want to go along with this trend, this new trend which says that, look, we need to have a new party. They may. Some may want to stay, but they would want to stay under an entirely new leadership and so on. So all of these tensions are there. These are not tensions that anybody wishes or anybody is engineering. The situation in which the party finds itself leads to these kinds of things. You understand? And one thing that I always say, look, at a certain point in our history, around 1951, thereabout, all the way up to 1966, the most effectively organized political party in Africa was the Convention People's Party. It was led by a charismatic leader whose influence spread throughout the world. So, look at the state of that party today. So every political party can become a CPP. Every and any political party can become a CPP. You understand? And that is why it's important for those parties which appear to be thriving today to be extremely careful about how they conduct themselves. That is why it's important that when power is surrendered to these political leaders, they ought to be very careful about how to handle it. Because they can all become like the parties of old. You understand? I mean, when I was growing up, and this is a fact, if anybody suggested that one day the UP will be in power, nobody would have believed it. Nobody would have believed, even after the coup, you understand, and so on. But today, the New Patriotic Party, which claims to be springing out of the ashes of the UP and so on, has won how many elections? Has actually won 4 elections. Something has changed. The dynamics have changed and so on. And these dynamics keep changing all the time. Nothing is static. It keeps changing all the time, you know. And the signs I'm seeing must not be too comforting for anybody who is a member of the party and who wishes the party well. I mean, look, if you come to think about the contest of presidential candidature, of course, all the parties, even the parties which have no hope of ever winning any elections and so on, they are contests for leadership. We are hearing all kinds of names and permutations and so on. But for the New Patriotic Party, it's interesting. I mean, as we speak, there's no doubt at all that a chunk of the membership actually believe that Mr. Kennedy Agyapong will become the next presidential candidate and that he has what it takes to lead the party and eventually to lead this country.
In fact, the NSO Subempa chap you mentioned, he has come up public to say he's for Ken.
Okay, but that's the point I'm making. That there are some people in the party who think that, hey, they have to do everything possible to ensure that Akompreku emerges as the leader of the party. And then there are the Sarah Adwa Safos and so on, who also believe that Bawumia is the magic wand. You understand?
Right.
And then don't dismiss people like Boakye Jakun and others. I mean, there are people who are saying that, look, they made a mistake. And that if they had gone for independents and neutrals like Adai Nimo or Boakye Jakun and so on, the party's fortunes would have been different.
Yeah.
What I find exceedingly interesting now is the persistent attacks on former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. A lot of the people in the party tend to think that he is the problem, that he personalized the party and his governance was so bad that he brought the party into dispute and so on. And I find that exceedingly interesting. Because until 3 months ago, the same people were praising him. You understand? So what has changed? The same people. I mean, Akufo-Addo did no wrong. It's only a handful of people who were able to say publicly that they were not happy with his rule. But even then, many of them retreated very quickly. Remember the controversy over Ken Ofori-Atta's...
the 88.
What happened?
The famous 88.
What happened? Many of them retreated very fast.
Yeah.
You understand? And then joined the praise-singing choir and so on. Now it's interesting listening to some of the people who used to be loud praise singers. All of a sudden, the Akufo-Addo who did no wrong now is the Akufo-Addo who did all wrongs and so on. That's interesting. And I continuously say that what is happening to former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to become a very important lesson, not just for Nana Akufo-Addo alone, but for all leaders. All leaders must learn important lessons from what is happening to Nana Akufo-Addo. And if all leaders were to learn that important lesson, it would be good for them and it would be good for the country.
Okay. Right.
Oh.
Are you staying or you join the New Patriotic Front? Amakumba says you should come.
I think
it says your party has lost its ideals.
The fourth Republican
yes.
Constitution has presented us with a lot of happenings when it comes to growth or otherwise of political parties.
Yeah.
Okay. Since the inception of this Constitution in 1992, we have seen political parties registered and registered, some coming out of big political parties. And I'll start off with the NDC. At a point, Obed Asamoah, a stalwart of NDC.
Yeah. Reform.
Strongly. At a point, Guzitano, who is today appointed by JM as the man in charge of the 24-hour economy, their flagship policy, okay, had his own political party. The question I want to ask, has that killed the NDC? They've gone around and they are back to their fold. The sitting president of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, after 2016 election, when they suffered a heavy defeat, what comment did he make? He said he rode a lame horse into the election, referring to his political party. He said, I rode a lame horse into the election, referring to his own political party. Today, that party, after 8 years, is back in power. You may have your differences. It's a human institution. And that's how it is. And let me, before I even come to the differences, let me deal with what Uncle Kwesi Pratt, the example he gave about CPP one time being one of the best organized political parties in Africa, not even Ghana. And I agree with him. But see the difference, though I'm young, but of course books have taught us a bit. We may be wrong at a point because we didn't actually see firsthand or on hindsight what actually happened. However, what we have read has to do with when you vest the power of a political party into one man, so that when he says sleep, everybody sleeps. Go here, everybody goes there. The danger it poses is that the future of that party will be bleak. And I believe is one of the factors and reasons why the CPP is non-existent today. Okay? If to this point that you make...
It is existing.
I'm saying, even if it's existing, it's not powerful.
Okay.
Let me say that.
Non-existent
maybe in context. I am not to say that it's not there, of course, but of course it is existing in it doesn't matter. But what is one of the reasons why the CPP is not as strong today, maybe. Because if even at the point the leader of the party even thought that the flag of the party should be the flag of Ghana, the CPP. So it's when you vest that power into one man, you risk that party going down the drain after the demise of that person or after the leaving of that person. So I think that, yes, we still are proud to say that we are an offshoot of UP tradition. And we moved, and before the inception of the Constitution, Reverend Asante Nchu of blessed memory, wherever he is, Stephen Kreku of blessed memory, the big guys, Teresa Amele Tego, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Hackman Owusu Agyeman, Malik Al-Hassan, all these are big people, had formed what we call the Dankwa Busia Club, even before even the New Patriotic Party. Darocha of blessed memory and all that. Many
were not involved in the formation of the Dankwa Busia Club.
They became members eventually. I'm not saying they were the formation. I know, but of course, Darocha, the Lives, the Peter Alajeti, later on they're okay. But what you see, the point I'm trying to make is that we came together like-minded. We were not maybe, of course, we are not notices who Kamala and all that. But nonetheless, we have a history. I'm trying to establish that so long as there are roots. And there are people who thought of a political party to be set up with an ideology, which ideology is still actually moving. The fact that somebody is out of the party Somebody is not happy. One individual thinks I want to form a political party. That's why I said DFP didn't kill NDC. No,
neither the Reform Party.
Neither the Reform Party killed NDC.
Yeah.
And not even JM, who did not believe in his own party after 2016 election, left the party and didn't. See,
you've forgotten NDP.
NDP, all of this.
NDP, yes.
Today, Bedzedin is in parliament and the NDC's ticket in Laura. But Bedzedin was championing DFP.
True.
So this is, for me, with all respect, and with a great respect to the venerable Amakoba, who understands politics very well, is a tutor. We learn under him, as it were. But I want to tell you, when you start something with roots, it is not easy. It's not easy to finish it with your leaves. For the leaves, they wither, become yellowish and fall. Some other leaves will shoot out.
Yeah.
The young ones. And I can tell you, the fact that we got defeated in 2024 election badly does not mean that this party, as it were, is not strong. We all know what was the vote of the NDC. The NDC in 2020 election got over 6 million votes. Okay? 200 and something. 1,000 or so. I stand to be corrected. Fast forward to 2024, the NDC got additional over 150,000 votes to what they got in 2020. Okay?
Yes.
The MPP got 6,700,000 and something thousand. We nosedive to less than whatever. And of course, we are waiting for this report to come out. But if you go out there, one would tell you that there was so much apathy. Largely could be because some were not happy of some government policies. Largely could be because some neglect for grassroots party people. It could also be one factor which I see. I have been in national office of the party, belonging to steering committee, NEC, and all that. Certain times, what the problems we face is that when a party is in power, okay, the seat of government swallows the party. And it's not only to MPP, even NDC suffers it. So national executives, work ought to be done. Sometimes it's very difficult for them to do it.
Right.
You understand what I mean? And I believe going forward, all these things will be fine-tuned, will put up. Those who throw their hands in despair and think this party will not come back, I think, to be honest with you, they have not been serious. They've not done a lot of research in political history. Recent political history, I want to call it. Okay? Since 1992 coming up, what has been the growth of the MPP? Tomorrow, Uncle Kofi Price says that, look, so bad said that even some polling stations will go zero. The NDC also got zero in some polling stations, even in 2024 election. Zero. Around the Boki Enflip, that's where we got zeros. And we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
Within the Binduri, the Pusiga area, Garutimpane, where the Kusasis dominated, most of the areas MPP got zero. And within the Boku township, where the Mampusis dominated, most of the areas NDC also got zero. That has nothing to do with organization of political parties' failure. I disagree. Are you getting me? But if you should tell me in Ashanti region, or tell me in somewhere in Bono region, MPP got zero in a particular polling station somewhere, that is where I think it will be problematic. But not when we have a special problem somewhere. So I would say that, look, it is within every man's right to say that you have an association. Article 21 of the Constitution, Clause 1E, tells you have your freedom of association. Wherever you want, you can go. I decided I want to set up my political party. That is your pound of flesh. You have decided to carry. I decided I don't want to belong to a political party. I have decided I want to be with my new patriotic party. That is what I want to do. And I can tell you with all certainty that we are focused. Defeat is not going to bring us back. Put us in disarray. I can tell you with the little knowledge I have about all the 276 constituencies in this country, our party is poised to harness our support base, rejuvenate the party, energize it, and trust me, unify ourselves and come back again.
Okay.
To end with, this call about our candidate didn't do well. We want a new candidate. We want this. It's premature.
Right.
And I want to appeal to all party people, that is premature. With the greatest respect, every political party that evolves comes with some changes and dynamics. Today you may know it to be this, tomorrow is going to be a different story, as it were. So whoever is a national officer who attends meetings, I beg of you, the party says it's premature to jump the gun. We're going to go through a democratic process to elect whoever. Well, we've seen in these countries, when His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, how many times was he elected as a flag bearer? From 2008 he was.
Right.
2012 he was. 2016 we repeated him 3 times. President Kufuor, when we had Great Alliance in 1996, after Idu
Yeah.
then of course we came to 2000. We repeated him. When in 1998 he brought Alhaji Ali Muhammad of blessed memory,
Right.
and all that. So this party has a history. Okay, and I'm saying that we should not jump the gun. We should be premature. If you have your reservations, if you have whatever, put together a memorandum, a very good one, to the political party. Let's get our proposals to work and we'll move on. But I can assure Andrew Kwesi Pastor, look, those days are gone. Even though we'll come to them for further, guidance, as it were, because of history and all that. But I can tell you, dynamics has changed. The young today are indeed upbeat.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to go? You want to recruit
Kwesi
for guidance?
Do what?
And for consultants?
Oh, yeah. I've always respected him.
Okay.
And I've always listened to him. He knows that. Even off air, I call him sometime if I want. You
Okay.
understand? Because obviously, no matter what you want, I mean, no matter who you are, a little young one, you need the education of the elderly people as well. But just that certain time positive defiance is very important. So you defy them.
So let me say this briefly before you come. I beg you. Let me say this briefly. I beg you. You're a very good friend, Kakre Samwa. He sends us a message, and Kakre Samwa, you're a very good friend too. Yeah. Yes. So Kakre Samwa was the director of communications of the NDC. He says, and it's in response to what your analogy about breakaways and whether it affects parties or not. Now, it says the general rule around previous breakaways is that when a party is approaching the 8th year in government, any breakaway affects its ability to retain power. And so you can cite the NDC's 2000 elections because it started with reforms and then DFP came in and it affected the party, right? So it says, conversely, a party in opposition seeking election into office after 8 years in opposition is never affected by breakaways and even internal strife. In view of this general rule, in 32 years of constitutional rule in Ghana, it is much too early in this particular instance to foretell the outcome. Let's wait and see what happens. And he ends by saying, thank you, sir. I don't know what I say to you. Obviously, please go ahead.
That's his analogy, anyway.
This is just a very quick reaction to my brother's claim that the CPP became what it has become because power was concentrated in one person.
Right.
It's not true.
Okay.
There's no basis for that assertion. In fact, the most important principle in CPP's organization was the principle of democratic centralism.
Right.
So at no point the CPP become, come under the control of one person because of the application of the principle of democratic centralism and so on. The CPP became what it has become because of sabotage. Sabotage led by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America.
That's documented.
Very well documented, with the active collaboration of opponents of Nkrumah. That's why the CPP became what it has become.
That's always been the story.
No, because I remember as a fact that after the 1966 coup, there was a witch hunt to get rid of all CPP people in the public and civil service. There was a witch hunt.
Yeah.
They drove them out of their jobs, they sabotaged their businesses, and so on. Clear witch hunt which took place, and that's very well documented. Apart from that, it became a criminal offense to print, hold, or circulate photographs of Nkrumah. Print, hold or circulate photographs of Nkrumah. CPP paraphernalia was buried underground because if you wore a CPP T-shirt or you were seen in CPP colors, you could be lynched, you could be killed, and so on. So this is the witch hunt. This is the deliberate acts of sabotage which was spearheaded by the CIA with the collaboration of Nkrumah's opponents, which contributed to get the CPP where it is today. And I think that it's important to understand that very clearly.
Okay.
Why? Books of Nkrumah were burnt in bonfires. Books that Nkrumah wrote, books that were written about Nkrumah and so on, were burnt in bonfires. So this is deliberate, callous, calculated sabotage by imperialism and its local agents. They contributed to this situation.
Okay. Let me do this quickly. So Ebo Bakman, your very good friend, he's now with the Alan team. Okay. He says, Ebo Bakman, he's now with the Alan team. He says the NPP lost its way when the Nana Addo took over in 2007, turning the party into a lawless organization driven by the rule of man, not law. He became a demigod, accountable to no one. Remember how Paul Afoko and Kwame Nkrumah were treated in the party. What we're seeing now is just the beginning. Ghanaians will not forget how they destroyed the economy, looted the nation, devastated our forests and water bodies. If the NPP wants to be relevant again, it must be born anew with new leadership and direction. And this one here from Prosper Ashikwe is a regular view of the show. Prosper, your message is a very long one. I'll read part of it, not all, because we've run out of time. Good morning. I know Richard Ofori-Agyemang-Boadu, a.k.a. King Zuba, very well. He's somebody who ensures and insists that things be done and done rightly. Candidly, his choice of the word beat was not right. But that does not preclude that he is temperamentally challenged. Zuba might have gotten his not right, but mark my words, he would go down history as one of the best MCs that this country has ever produced. And all such MCs we've seen in the past and praised have been hard and strong on indiscipline, which has been ingrained in our society, if not our national DNA. More the fact that we are lawless people and we truly need the Zubas of the world who won't outdoor their intents but act them. That's my brother, His Excellency Kamal, didn't forget him. He's just being political and doing his usual politics. What is our point? What does government do about sanitation? Unfortunately, he sounds like a sinner condemning sin. And finally, let me do this from Musa from Abattoir. So Musa, Abattoir in Asawase, says NPP is gradually becoming unattractive because freedom of speech has turned into a luxury only a few can afford under their leadership, under this leadership. The arrogance and deep-rooted corruption that plagued the administration were very serious. The very reasons they were miserably rejected in 2024 elections. Even parties started like Ernest Osu-Benfai and Honorable Adjasafo have openly admitted the same. When the truth becomes expensive, the people choose change. So this is where, so I think Kaka Samoa is back with the final message. So I'll do this in just 30 seconds and then we'll take leave of you. So Kaka Samoa, I noticed that you're sending something quickly, if you can do that. And then I would, but before we go, let me quickly do this. It's extremely important. It's an important announcement that I'd want our viewers to take note of. Let me just do this. All right. So, okay. So this one. Okay. So I've got some great news for you. Now, the great news is that now this is Ghana. So you only get deceived if you're not sure of what you are buying or you don't really know in the market. So when it comes to water storage tanks, the name we all know is Polytank. It has been with us for over 30 years and has been trusted by these generations. And so make no mistake, always choose Polytank for guaranteed quality. It's available at the same price across the country at Polytank partner shops. Be it Rambo, Hippo, Sumo, or Super Sumo, durability is always assured. Polytank, the original, always the best. Yeah, Polytank is always the best. So Papano and Casa, you know, Papano and Casa. That's what I need you to do. So again, Polytank does not request for Momo payment online. So please, those of you who are fond of just sending people messages on Momo online, don't do that when it comes to Polytank. Please go there and pay for yourself. And also remember that the And also remember that we're going to, Metro TV is going to be at this year's Kwewu Festival, and there's a lot to expect from the Ignite Media Group. So we would be at the Kwapin Ridge for Once in a Lifetime specially Easter event. Join Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM as at that fun-filled joint such as OPK, Susie's Place, Superb Lounge, among others from Ibri-Mampong to Ikropong. It's easier on the crescendo with jam squads from Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM on the Kwapin Bridge. So we'll share some more details with you. But it is Easter like never before. Anyway, so Kake Samo's message is still typing. But in the meantime, let me just say a big thanks to Uncle Kwesi, Mr. Kwesi Pratt is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, and also Kamali Dean is the immediate past consul general to Saudi Arabia. Uncle, it looks like Samo's message is a whole letter, and so he's still typing. So I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning, and I wish you all the best of the day. So Uncle, we'll see you next week Wednesday, inshallah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. So my name is Audu Moro. Thanks for watching another edition of Good Morning Ghana. Have a good day. Bye-bye.